Hello, welcome to No Sevens Dice Club. College football predictions, week 8. We went 2-3 last week. No Sevens is having a rough year. I have not had a winning week yet. I've had a couple break evens, a couple of lots of losing weeks. Man, it's been really rough. So our record is 13 wins, 20 losses, and 1 tie. And if things don't change soon, No Sevens is going to have his first losing season since 2015, so I'm going all out this week. The reason why I'm going all out this week is next week I will not be doing any college football predictions. I'm not hanging it up. I am just going to be out of town, taking care of some stuff, long-awaited vacation and things like that. So I won't be doing a week 9 prediction, and hey, look, it might be actually good to step away from this. But let's dive right into it. 3 things that we learned. Coach O is officially out at LSU. He's going to finish his season, and pretty much the wheels started turning after the Auburn game. When they lost and broke that streak, I knew that was going to be the start of it, because they had a lot of pride at LSU for not letting Auburn win for almost 22 years at their home stadium. And then it went ahead. The disaster that unfolded at Kentucky, just completely outcoached and outplayed, really put the final nail in the coffin. And it was decided Friday before the game against Florida that Coach O would be officially done. There's a lot of rumors who's going to be the coach at LSU, but it's one of the best jobs out there. So we shall see who becomes the coach. Tennessee versus Ole Miss, for all my Tennessee fans. Hopefully this wasn't you guys, but throwing the bottles on the field with a minute left, I know that 4th down call was very questionable and it could have gone either way. But, don't start throwing stuff on top of the field, especially when your team has a chance to come back and win. I still had a minute left, all your timeouts. I mean, I understand there's a lot of emotion with these games, but you got to control your emotions. You can't do that because it makes the SEC looks bad. It makes everything just look bad. And you can't throw bottles. You can't definitely throw golf balls at, Lane Kiffin and stuff. I mean, who brings golf balls and starts throwing them at coaches? That's just crazy. But, that was just completely insane, and it did not reflect well for the SEC. And still continuing on for the SEC, can anyone stop Georgia? I mean, they just look unstoppable. They have a bye week this week. They play Florida next week. I expect Georgia just to steamroll Florida next week. And Dan Mullen is going to be the one on the hot seat now that Orgeron is out of LSU. So our bully picks that we're going to parlay is Oklahoma, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Cincinnati. Now, if you want to walk on the wild side with me, I'm going to go parlay Notre Dame, and I'm going to go parlay NC State. But I didn't put that on the bully picks, but I'm going to add those two, NC State and Notre Dame, to the bully picks on my parlay. Let's dive right into it. The cigar game is what it's always called. It's a crazy game. Tennessee at Alabama. This is really not even much of a game. Tennessee's actually got a really good offense this year, and they can drive the ball, but they have not met an Alabama defense so far this year. And I think Tennessee is getting ready to go slam straight into a wall. I know Tennessee, this is one of their biggest rivals, as they always say. Well, it's not really a rival if one team's always beating the other team. Hate to break it to you, Tennessee, but that's just the way it is. I expect Alabama to keep on rolling. They got to get style points, because whether or not they beat Georgia in the SEC championship, style points is really going to come down to the determining factor if they're in the Final Four or whether they're on the outside looking in, just like how they were in 2019. So Alabama really needs to win this game and win it big. And I think they're going to do that. I think for Alabama, being minus 24.5 is not going to be that big of a deal. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Alabama. I'm going to buy down at 0.5 point. It seems kind of crazy, but I don't like 0.5 points. So I'd rather buy down at 0.5 point. So I'm going to take Bama minus 24. And one thing too is I haven't done the edits for these. The editing just takes too much time. It takes me almost about 4 to 5 hours to do a 15-minute YouTube video edit. And when I do my craps videos, it's almost a full day in production. So that's the reason why I can get these out a little bit quicker, is not doing the edits. And I apologize if you guys like the edits. Maybe when I'm not completely swamped, I can do more edits with the college football predictions. Ohio State at Indiana. This game was really interesting. I almost bypassed this game and I walked by it. And I'm really torn because I really do see Indiana doing a fairly good job. Ohio State's really starting to come together. They're starting to mesh and gel. But their defense is still kind of questionable. But it's starting to get stronger. It's starting to get better. But just a really quick, I'm not going to go too much into detail because I really like Ohio State. Indiana's going to put up a really good game in this. But I think at the end, Ohio State is going to lead them, and they're going to win, I think, by 4 touchdowns. So I expect them to win by 27 points. So that's who I'm going to go with. I'm just going to keep it kind of plain and short. So I'm going to take Ohio State minus 21 in this. Like I said, there's really not much to dissect about Indiana. Ohio State, they just need to keep on rolling so that way they can get into a New Year's Six Bowl. I don't know if they're going to make it into the Final Four. Pretty questionable. I mean, everything's up in the air. The only one that's pretty much a guaranteed seed is Georgia, and Cincinnati keeps on playing the way they're due. They'll get in there, and I'm going to discuss more of that later. South Carolina at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is on a roll. I mean, you got to really hand it to Jimbo Fisher, the head coach. He's really got that team synchronized right now. They're playing really well. After that Alabama game, thought there might be a letdown for Missouri, but man, they took care of business over there. I expect them to do the same thing with South Carolina. South Carolina is right at the same level of Missouri, so I don't expect any let off. Texas A&M's minus 19.5. I'm going to buy down at half a point. I'm going to take Texas A&M minus 19. That's I feel very sure about Texas A&M in this, especially since they're playing at Texas A&M. And the whole entire quarterbacks, and there's a lot of rumors that Jimbo Fisher is going to be leaving to head to LSU. Who knows what's going on? I mean, they even got football wagers where you can go to the casino and you can wager who's going to be the next head coach. To me personally, I like Cincinnati's head coach. And Mel, the Michigan State head coach, I like him too. North Carolina State at Miami. Now, if you remember, North Carolina State upset and beat Clemson. That was a huge game. And I think NC State's, they're just like a roller coaster, just like the ACC right now. I mean, it's up and down and everything else. Clemson struggling. They barely beat Syracuse last week. So it's a crazy thing. And I think if NC State can keep on playing well, they might actually have a chance to play in the conference championship and be, what I'm trying to say, try to be in the top 6. Probably not in that New Year's Six, but play somewhere in a good bowl game. And they're going to keep on playing for style points. Miami is turning into a dumpster fire over there. There's a lot of questions about the head coach. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong for Miami right now. Murphy's Law is in full effect for that team. So NC State's only minus 3.5 points. I'm going to go ahead and take NC State, and that's also who I'm taking for my bully pick too, and I parlayed that team. So let's go ahead and take NC State. I'm going to buy down at half a point, so NC State minus 3. All right. And USC at Notre Dame. USC, as you know, doesn't have a head coach. He was fired very early in the season. I thought that was, I understand that, if things are not working out, especially if you lose to Stanford, but Stanford's a really good team year in and year out. They've been pretty steady with wins. I just don't understand firing your head coach in the second week of September. It just doesn't make a lot of sense when there's still a lot of, a lot of stuff going on. Now, I can understand there was questionable, allegations and stuff like that, but to fire your head coach in September, you might as well just go ahead and fire them, in the spring or right after the 2020 season. It just doesn't make sense. So anyway, they're playing Notre Dame. As you guys know who follow me, Notre Dame is on my blacklist because they just don't seem they can cover. But this game might be a little bit different. They're playing in South Bend. They're doing pretty well. That defense is starting to gel finally. The offense, just like everything else this season, it's up and down like crazy. But I do like how Notre Dame is playing, so far. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give Notre Dame a try, but I'm really questionable about this, and I have a feeling this is going to come back and bite me in the butt. So I guess it's kind of good I'm not going to be here next week to feel sorry for myself. But I'm really like Notre Dame. They're only -7. With the coaching staff and everything else that's going on, I believe that they're going to have a chance to win this game pretty big against USC, who doesn't really have an identity this year, and they're kind of trying to figure themselves. But I hand it off to USC because they are still playing as a football unit, minus, they don't have that general. So let's go ahead and take Notre Dame -7. And hopefully I can kind of redeem myself from all the Notre Dame, the first and second week of losing. But anyway, so Cincinnati. Cincinnati will probably be ranked number 2 in this after Iowa went down, and that was a crazy game against Purdue. Who would have ever thought that? I should have put that down as 3 things we learned this past week, because Purdue, I mean, they are just crazy on how they just upset these teams like that. Ohio State a few years back, and I actually picked Purdue, and I won a ton of cash off that game for them to win. I took everything on Purdue and to beat them, and I mean the odds were huge. But for Cincinnati, they should be probably ranked number 2. I sure hope, for a little school like that, with Luke Fickell being the head coach, that's the one who I like to be for LSU. I'm just throwing it out there for anybody that's big at LSU listening. But I like Cincinnati at Navy. Navy's struggling. They're on a 2-game losing streak right now. They are not playing really good football right now. Cincinnati just needs to keep on rolling. They need to keep on having those stylish points so that way they can show that they belong in there. They're going to be facing some uphill battles over the next couple of weeks after their season if they are in the Final Four. So all the style points and everything they can do to convince the committee that they belong is going to be pretty big, especially because the committee is going to start meeting up within the next couple of weeks. So whatever they can do to prove that they are a dominant team and belong in the Final Four is going to start. They need to start doing that now, and they already have. So let's go ahead and take Cincinnati -28. And if you were looking at the Oklahoma-Kansas game, I thought about putting that one on there until I saw the point spread. The point spread for Kansas is sitting at 40 right now. 40. That's the highest one yet so far. Second highest one I've ever seen. Well, maybe the third highest. But anyway, our dark horse pick is LSU at Ole Miss. Of course, I got to throw LSU in there, right? This is going to be very interesting because Ed Orgeron was the head coach for Ole Miss, and he was fired after a couple of seasons. So, and he's going back to Ole Miss as an LSU head coach, this is his final year. So it's kind of bittersweet that he's going back. A lot of mixed memories. He wants to lead the Tigers off to a great finish. Lane Kiffin is his old coach and stuff from USC days, and they have a lot of great memories together and crazy memories also. So it's crazy that they're meeting again. If you remember last year, this was the last game of the season for LSU. They came back and they beat Ole Miss. Wild, crazy game. LSU is down 22 starters in this game. They were down 22 starters in Florida, and they also won. But that was the highest point score between LSU and Florida ever in a conference play. They had over, I think it was 90 points. So with that being said, LSU at Ole Miss is 76 points is the over-under line. LSU defense, their corners, their starting corners, Ricks and Derek Stingley are out. Their safety is out. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores playing. And I'll tell you what, whoever gets this team next as a head coach is going to have a very talented young group of players. But Ole Miss is going to start throwing bombs all over the field. And I think LSU is going to have to start responding back to that. So this is going to be an offensive shootout. Hardly any defense. So I'm going to take the over on this at LSU at Ole Miss with the over 76 points. Alrighty, guys, I like to keep it under 15 minutes, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 games. Hopefully I can run the gauntlet and get my 2021 season, broken even 2020. So, hey, look, when you're in this kind of predicament, what else do you have to lose? But anyway, I want to thank you guys for all the weeks with me, and I appreciate it. And I'm sorry I won't be here for week 9, but week 10 we're going to knock it out the park and get ready for Halloween that week. Hard to believe that we're already at the end of October when I come back and do that video. Hopefully I have enough time and go from there. I should have enough time. Let's see. That'd be next week is Halloween. So I might be able to. No, I won't be able to. I won't be able to at all. I'm trying to think of my schedule. I absolutely will not be able to do week 9. So week 10 after Halloween, we will knock it out the first week of November. So hard to believe. And then we have LSU at Alabama to dissect, which would be interesting. But we're coming up to 17 minutes. I appreciate everything, guys. I wish you guys lots of luck in your predictions. Good luck in the NFL for all my NFL bettors. And just, make sure you have a great and safe Halloween. Be with your family. Have fun with your kids. It's all about the kids. Make sure they have a great time for Halloween. Eat lots of candy for me because I won't be eating any candy this year probably. So have a great time, guys. And I will talk to you in November.